Hi, my name is Sue Leahy. We are in my backyard. So when we moved in here, the backyard was just grass. There was nothing going on. I mean, we saw an occasional bird, but I didn't have anything to attract any butterflies or bees. My neighbor across the street actually paid me a compliment one day because he was comparing my yard to one of my next door neighbors. And he said, "You both have nice yards." He said, "But yours is alive." I said, "Thank you. That's what I was going for." Native plants were chosen because they support the ecosystem. I plant natives because of the wildlife it brings into my yard. They're adapted to our climate, to our weather, to our soil, and they have relationships where they coexist with a lot of the plants and animals. That's why you plant natives. Every single species of caterpillar or butterfly out there needs something different as its host for their caterpillars. Think about how many butterflies you see flying around. Every one of them has to have a specific plant to lay their eggs on for their caterpillars to eat and become butterflies. For example, monarchs will nectar on a large variety of flowers in their migration south, but they will only lay their eggs on milkweed. So the more milkweed you can put in your yard, the better off you are serving the monarchs. This is a showy milkweed. And if you can see all the eating that's been going on here, but if we look underneath, there is the monarch caterpillar munching away. It's fun to watch these guys eat because they're like little eating machines. This is a Dutchman's pipevine, host plant to the Dutchman's or the pipevine swallowtail. If there's no Dutchman's pipevine, you will have no pipevine swallowtails. And that's true of a lot of species. So there's a lot more benefit to the native species. And we've seen a huge uptick in birds, bees, and butterflies since we've gone native. Wildlife in the backyard has ranged from squirrels and chipmunks and bunnies to snakes. Every time the toads come and lay their eggs, we get little tiny toads, and then the garter snake always shows up for free lunch. I needed to get my husband on board, and the hook for that was box turtles. We had a couple of box turtles show up in our yard. He just loves the turtles, so that got him on board with the turtles. If I wanted to do a project, to do something to expand the backyard, he would ask me, "Are the turtles going to like it?" I go, "The turtles will love it." Okay, he was all in. I like watching all of them. I love watching the turtles usually early in the morning is when they're out walking around. But I love watching the hummers when they come to drink at the flowers. I used to put out hummingbird feeders, and I no longer do. I don't need to. I have enough natural stuff, and they really like a lot of the stuff that's blooming in my yard, so I see them a lot. So this is royal catchfly, red star-shaped flowers. They're sticky, which is how it got its name of catchfly. Little tiny insects get stuck to that, and the hummingbirds actually pluck those off and feed them to their babies. But it's also a great nectar plant, and those red blooms attract the hummingbirds like crazy. So they go from the royal catchfly, which is blooming right now, and then it's followed by the cardinal flower, which comes next, and they have a great time in my yard between the royal catchfly and the cardinal flower. I get excited if I see something new, and I've seen a couple of new species of butterflies, and that was always exciting. I have seen my first ever Luna moth, you know, the moth you see in sleep commercials. I've gotten to see one of those. We had a dragonfly cloud come up one night. I did not know that dragonflies migrate, and apparently they do short distances. They were sitting in our backyard, and one night they just all rose up in a cloud, and the moonlight shimmering on the dragonfly wings was just gorgeous. We do enjoy this yard a great deal. We do spend time sitting out here and watching all the wildlife. We have had some really neat experiences. The top level up here is our first butterfly garden. That's kind of what got me started on the native plants. So one of the big advantages, of course, with native plants is that they use less water. Like I said, I watered this bed once the day I put it in. I haven't watered it since. But as a general rule of thumb, I don't water anything in my backyard. As far as seeing results from planting, I started seeing results right away with that first butterfly garden. and it wasn't even all native at that point. But every garden or bed that we added, we'd start to see more and more birds and bees and butterflies. So most people don't realize how pretty the native flowers can be, between the hibiscus and the spider lily. And then here we have sweet coneflower. They're very pretty. Not only do they help feed insects and birds, but they're just pretty to look at. There have been multiple moments when I've looked at my yard and go, this has really been worthwhile. I don't know if everybody's going to want to transform their entire backyard the way I have. Some people need to have space for their kids to play or their dogs to run, and I get that. But the benefits of seeing all the increase in wildlife, to me, has been a big payoff. So I will fill up every ounce of space I can.
I'm Andy. I'm the other half, normally known as labor. I've done all the landscaping and hard and softscape to make it work, but she's the brains behind the outfit. I'm slow to joining the native movement. One of Sue's big points was my favorite pets are turtles. So Sue would keep telling me, if you put this in or put that in, or if we do it this way, the turtles will have a lot better time. I've got enough native food sources through the gardens that they will just sit and forage through the gardens. You see them in a natural environment versus limited. That's part of the benefit of making this the oasis versus it's just a backyard.
It's just been inspiring. It's just been fun to watch the development of the yard and the different species that use it.
The hummingbird is sitting right at the top of the stem of the plant there. And he's just, yep.
He's at the royal catchfly. There you go. Oh,
there,
he's around on the backside on the royal catchfly.
But he'll come back. He came right to the cardinal flower. And there's his buddy. 3 of them. That's 3.
That's this year's crop of chicks. I have not figured out where they're nesting, but they always show up here as summer wears on, the juveniles, to feed, and they each like to pick a patch of flowers and they'll protect it from each other. So they're learning how to protect their turf.
They get to make your eyes run all over the yard, and that's the benefit.
But this is what my front yard used to look like. There's absolutely no life in this yard whatsoever, and the difference between this and now is astonishing. I look around my yard and I go, this has really been nice. I am contributing to the environment and I'm enjoying it at the same time. That has caused me to take a good look at what's going on across the country. I belong to a number of organizations that are environmentally focused. I've become a very strong advocate for sustainability, native planting, preserving our wild spaces. If somebody new to natives wants to start to do this, they just need to start small. Pick maybe a circle in the middle of their backyard or in the front of their house that's maybe, no more than 10 square feet total, and just plant a few natives. We try to show people what can be done. And we explain to them, it took us 15 years to get to this point. You can't expect to do it overnight. It's a little step here and a little step there. They don't have to give up their roses or their boxwoods or whatever else it is that they like. They just need to intersperse some natives amongst with them. So if people would like to do native plantings, they need to educate themselves, but a great way to do that is to join Wild Ones. There's a chance to interact with like folks. They're your peeps, as we say. But you'll learn a lot from the homeowners who have already done this. One of the neat things about Wild Ones is that we host our monthly gatherings at members' homes. So you can see natives growing in the landscape, and you can talk to the homeowners about their experiences with them. It's important to see them actually growing in a garden setting. And that's where Wild Ones comes in. And it's it's just more important that more and more people learn and plant natives.